is the Ten Commandments part 2. All right, the Ten Commandments part 2. And we left off at, and we have verse 8 with the Sabbath. Is the Ten Commandments. All right. Take that off. All right. So Exodus 20, I'm going to jump right into it. If you have something, beloved, you can add to it. Okay. These ones, I think I only got like probably like a verse two maybe for some of these. It ain't that long. So we'll see. If we go through the commandments quick enough, I have something else. We go to the next part. If not, we'll do that following week. Okay. See what time permits us. Exodus 20 and start at verse 1, and then we'll jump back, we'll jump down and continue at verse 8.
And God spake all these words, saying,
So this is all what the Most High is telling you. All right. God is saying these are instructions from above, not from below or from man. All right. Jump down to verse 7. I mean, verse 8. I'm sorry.
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work.
All right. So we're going into the Sabbath day. All right. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. All right. Something very important with this commandment compared to other ones. It tells you to what? Remember. Right. And as we know, the Most High is very wise and he can see through time. Why would he use remember, especially for this one? Because a lot of people are going to what? Forget. And as we look around the world, you see that a lot of people have forgot, all right, the Sabbath day. Okay. So remember the Sabbath day. Now, just don't acknowledge that the seventh day is Sabbath. A lot of people do that, but you must keep it holy. All right. There are some people that remember per se the Sabbath day, but they're not what? Keeping it holy. There's things you have to do to keep it holy. All right. Now it says what? 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. So we know it's dealing with what? This is the weekly Sabbath this is dealing with. Okay? Just for this one. There are the Sabbaths. We'll get to that, but I'm just saying right now, when he's using the 6 days, he's talking about what? The weekly Sabbath. This is when you're going to do it every week. All right. So 6 days you can labor and do all thy work. You want to do all your things in the 6 days. Okay. This is part of the Sabbath. Don't just focus on the day. You're supposed to prepare for the Sabbath. So you're failing to prepare yourselves through those 6 days is going to what? Interfere with you keeping the Sabbath holy. All right. So this got to be something we constantly thinking about. Verse 10.
But on the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates.
And this is explaining because we see the punctuation at the verse 9. So usually what's after is kind of giving emphasis on what before. So it's talking about thou shalt not do any labor, but now it's going to detail. 7th day is the Sabbath, Lord thy God, right? Sabbath could be another word for resting, right? In this Sabbath day, you should not do any work. Not just you, right? Thou, you, your son ain't supposed to do no work. Your daughter ain't supposed to do no work. Your manservant ain't supposed to do no work. Your maidservant ain't supposed to do no work. Your cattle is not supposed to do any work. And the strangers within thy gates. So any kind of people you have under you, under your rule or authority, you cannot command them to do work for you. All right? Because the Most High knows us. He knows we're going to be slick and we're going to try to get around it. All right? Now, I'm gonna get some money. Well, I can't do it, but I'm gonna let this person or this heathen go and work on my behalf. Oh, I know I can't buy and sell everything, so I'm gonna let them do it on my behalf. The Most High saying, no, that's gonna fall on you because that's not keeping it holy. So it's not just for yourself. You have to make sure those under you do not pressure them or allow them to what work. And it's working for you. Now, people doing their own time, that's on them. But they can't be doing your bidding on this day or what? You violate the Sabbath. Yeah, they did, but you violated because they're doing it under that authority. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. And let's go to verse 11, then we'll dive a little bit into this.
For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it.
All right. So now he's giving you what? The explanation. And sometimes God will give us the explanation of some things he'll just, he just cut it short. And you if you want to dive into it deeper, you can probably find some stuff on it. But this one, he gave us the breakdown a little bit. He's saying this was something that what? For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth. He's giving us a reference to what? The working for 6 days. He said, listen, I worked. Okay, I did the 6 days, everything in heaven made. That's why he gave Genesis and walking it down for us, and all that them is, or everything that's consisted in that, and rested the seventh day. All right. Wherefore the Lord blessed the seventh day. So when we look at it, he put a blessing on it. So when people try to say, "Oh well, you can keep your Sabbath that day, I'm gonna keep you. I'm gonna do mine this day," but did the Lord bless that day and hallowed it? Did he sanctify it? He set it apart. You can honor any day you want, but that don't mean it's set apart. That don't mean it's sanctified. So he said, I set this day apart. All right. This day is set apart. This day is special to what? His people. All right. He had this knowledge from the beginning. And even with this, I won't dive into the fullness of it. Even with this goes with when we go to Leviticus 23, talking about those feast days and everything. This is what Paul was talking about, saying what? These are things to come, a shadow of things to come. Because you have some people that think the Sabbath is just, oh, this is just representing, what Christ did here, and that's it. No, these have futuristic meanings behind it. Okay, some people don't realize that it has futuristic meanings behind this. Okay, there is a Sabbath day to come. You didn't accomplish the Sabbath. All right. There's something to come. So let's talk about more the prophetic aspect of it. Okay. All right. Let's dive into some things about the Sabbath. One of the main things we didn't talk about in a while. People, do certain things differently on it. But we're going to see what the Bible says. Let's do the cooking thing real quick. I think it's Exodus 16. Matter of fact, let's go to Exodus 30 something first. Let's go 35 first. I think it's 35. No. Let's go to Exodus 35. No. I'll go to 35 after. Let's do 16. Let's go right in order. I'm sorry, beloved. Let's go right in order. All right. All right. And like I said, this is why you want to make sure you read and go through these things, because sometimes it don't always give you all the details in every passage. Sometimes you got to connect certain things, all right, to understand it. So this is where the eating, not the eating, cooking. Let's go to Exodus 16, and you can start at verse 3. Exodus 16 and verse 3.
And the children of Israel said unto them, Would to God we had died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Egypt, when we sat by the flesh pots, and we did eat bread to the full. For ye have brought us forth into this wilderness to kill this whole assembly with hunger.
All right, so they're complaining about they're hungry and stuff like that. We should have stayed in Egypt. At least we was getting fed there. All right, this was their complaint. You read them?
Then said Yahweh unto Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them, whether they will walk in my law or no.
All right. So he's saying, I'm going to rain down bread from heaven for you, and you're going to gather a certain rate every day. All right. So a certain portion you're going to gather. But what's the point of it? That I may prove them. Listen, that I may prove them whether they'll walk in my what? Law or no. Right. So he's doing to prove that they will walk in his law or no. Let's look at it. Verse 5.
And it shall come to pass that on the sixth day they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily.
So there, I'm just giving y'all, not walking through all this. So they had to get a certain portion every day. All right. They're picking up, the manna, which means what is it? All right. They're picking up the manna every day. This is what they call the heavenly food, right? And on the sixth day, they will gather twice. Why would he have them gather twice as much on the sixth day? So that was showing preparation for what? The Sabbath. Because he's saying, don't come out here on the Sabbath. I'm not providing on the Sabbath. You are going to prepare on the sixth day, get double the portion so you don't have to do anything on the Sabbath. All right. So when you look at this, beloved, we are supposed to understand we're supposed to gather twice as much. All right. Friday, if Friday's so big, better go Thursday, whatever. You're getting twice as much so you are prepared for the Sabbath. That's what I'm saying. Don't think the Sabbath is that one that you got to prepare for it. Okay. So you're preparing so you're good for the Sabbath day. Okay. So you're going to gather twice so you can have that. Let's jump down. Like I said, we're not going through all of it. If you have time, this is definitely a good story. Let's jump down to verse. Let's go to 20. Let's go to verse 20.
Notwithstanding, they hearkened not unto Moses, but some of them left of it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank. And Moses was wroth with them.
Yeah, because he told him, listen, don't try to, and he was talking about don't saving it and stuff like that. Only on that Friday, all right, we call Friday, right? That Friday, that's when you're what? Holding it over till today, the Sabbath. So he preserved that portion for Friday, right? See, there's something special happening on Friday that it will last you for what? The Sabbath, so you can keep it holy. So God already did the prerequisites on making sure you can keep it holy. All right. So he did that. They said it, but of course, how Israel don't listen. We did exactly what the commandment said is not to do. So of course Moses is getting wroth. All right. Um, and this is where the bread is set worms. Okay, they left till the morning and it's setting worms, and now it's starting to stink. Okay, verse 21.
And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun waxed hot, it melted.
All right, so they have to go out there and gather every morning. What is this symbolizing? We're supposed to be what? Working, right? You're working and you're gathering. You have 6 days to work and gather. Okay. So you have plenty of opportunity. But when it what? Every morning, once it get hot, that sun come up, it will take it away. All right. So they had to make sure they're gathering. Verse 22.
And it came to pass that on the sixth day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses.
All right. So they're gathering twice as much on the sixth day. This is why you'll hear people say certain things like preparation day. All right. When you will use a preparation day when what? You can't do something that next day. Okay. So there's some even feast days that you what? If you can't do anything, no kind of work, because there's some you can work, some can't, right? You will what? You will prepare beforehand. Okay. So this is what he's showing you. You prepare beforehand. Verse 23.
And he said unto them, this is that which Yahweh hath said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto Yahweh. Bake that which you will bake today, and see that you will see, and that which remain over lay up for you to be kept until the morning.
All right. So this is the command right here, right? He's telling them what? Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath. Okay. And remember, Exodus 20 ain't even come up yet. So people going, oh, it ain't even have the holy Sabbath part written out. Because remember, there was commanded before. But he's saying, tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath. So he's already preparing before he even gave it out to the whole nation. Unto the Lord, bake that which ye will bake today. All right. So don't bake on the Sabbath. He's saying bake it today, sixth day. He's saying seethe. This is like boiling, like you're boiling things. You do that today, and that which remaineth overlay to lay up for you to be kept until the morning. So he's saying you're going to do that today and keep it until the next day, so you don't have to cook it. All right. So, beloved, with us, we take this and say, yes, we're going to prepare and do the things today. Okay. And then you have what? You can just worry about consuming the next day. All right. This is very important when it comes to rest. Because people are like, oh, they get all so upset of I ain't cooking and everything on the Sabbath. one of the first things, and those some ladies can can tell me, when you are dead tired, sometimes when you're working and you coming back, sometimes you say, "Man, I'm not cooking. I'm not in the mood." Right? This is why the Lord's putting this in place, because people will be forcing the stuff to do these things. He wanted to be a rest. He wants you to chill out, and you can see it's a spirit upon us. Whatever God tells us to do, we want to do the opposite. Any other day, we know when somebody say, "Listen, we want to break, we want to chill," we want to lay back, chill out. Soon as God said, that's when we want to do all the work. We want to paint the house. We want to, go do this, and this. He just said, relax. I just want you to chill and relax. Okay? And this was part of that. All right. So this is also a natural sign, you're not cooking today. All right. You will not die. You can eat something cold. You can eat something already cooked before and just eat the next day. And it ain't hot. But listen, you can do it. Okay. Some people got slick and put in something, well, I ain't even going to go there for it. I ain't give nobody no ideas. But nonetheless, that's why. All right. So this is why we do not cook. There's other aspects as well we can dive into, but this was one of the things he has. All right. And once again, we go to Leviticus 23. There were certain times he would tell you this is a Sabbath where you're resting. You can only cook. The only work you can do is cook. Right. So he's still reinforcing that ideal when it comes to this. All right. Let's go to Exodus 35. Like I said, because we're doing a lot, we're not spending too much time on anything. All right. Exodus 35. And let's see if this is still in play. And read start at verse 1. Exodus 35, verse 1.
And Moses gathered all the congregation of the children of Israel together and said unto them, these are the words which Yahweh have commanded, that ye should do them.
All right, this is whose word still? This is Yahweh's commanding. Read.
6 days shall work be done, but on the seventh day there shall be to you an holy day, a Sabbath of rest to Yahweh. Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death.
And look at this. 6 days shall work be done. On the seventh day there should be unto you. Listen, to you. Beloved, I'm not talking to whole, I'm talking to you as those that say they're believers of God. To you, it's going to be a holy day. All right? It's a set apart day. People are going to literally be able to understand when I look at their life, they're keeping it holy because they're not doing, I can clearly see they're not doing the same thing they do on the other days. Right? The work, some people work, off for the weekend. That's fine. We ain't doing the cooking. We ain't looking at all these things we do on other days. It's supposed to be set apart. It's supposed to be holy to you. If it blends in with every other day, you're not keeping it holy. For the most part, you're probably not keeping it holy. You're doing the same thing you're doing on the other days, unless you're already in that disciplined life where you just, this thing's your life and you're just reading everything every day. But for the most part, this is going to be very clear cut. All right. There's a spirit upon this day. People try to mimic tomorrow. They don't even do it. They talk about other days of Sabbath day. They don't even do it the Sabbath day. They out by, 1 o'clock from church. They ready to see, watch the games and go out to this and that. That's not keeping it holy, how he told you. Right? If you're going to do wrong, at least try to do wrong right. Okay? But this, for our people, we have to understand the severity of it. A Sabbath of rest to the Lord. So when we're doing this, this is in reference and honor and knowing who we're serving. So when anybody sees us, they know, okay, they serve the God, this God in the Bible. And the Most High acknowledge and understand, okay, this is the faith. Talking about a little bit of faith yesterday, right? This is part of the faith. Do you believe? He said, will he find faith when he return? This is one of the faiths. Will you be doing my commandments when I return? Everybody gonna talk. He ain't worrying about who's talking it. Will he find the faith? How will he find the faith? Is there a faith stick? No, it's the what? The commandments. Are they doing what I left for them to do? Or did they what? Fall off and started what? Getting distracted. Getting carried away with all these other things. All right? Whosoever doeth work therein shall be put to death. That's how serious this was. I tell y'all, look at the punishments. This ain't something light. He's ready to put people to death. Remember, I ain't going to the story today. Remember, somebody was picking up sticks. And what was the judgment? Death. So you want to take chances with this day? I don't think you should. All right. Let's read that verse 3.
Ye shall kindle no fire throughout your habitation upon the Sabbath.
All right. So when we look at this one, we'll make sure we explain it. I don't believe it's just talking about it as a fire. I believe it's the fire to what? Produce to what? Cook. Then he's been already talking about. So we have to put it together. All right. We know they had fires. You know, it ain't that they couldn't have a fire at night or light certain things. Unless I find something new with it. All right. But right now, you should not no fire throughout your habitation upon the Sabbath day. Okay. Because listen, beloved, there's times where it can get cold. He don't want you to freeze to death to prove the point. No. All right. But it's different from you having the turn the heat on, right? you can be warm and you're going to cooking. All right. One, he was explicit, explained it, varied into detail. All right. He don't go into detail with this one. Right. But we should know it because if you get to 35, you should have read through 16. Okay. All right. And let's get one more thing. If y'all got something on this, make sure y'all can bring it out. I told you I'm not diving fully into any of them. Okay. Let's go to Luke. Let's go to Luke real quick. Luke chapter 4. Luke chapter 4. And we're going to jump down to verse 16. Matthew, Mark, Luke. Matthew, Mark, Luke, chapter 4. And let's go to verse 16.
And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And as his custom was, he went into the synagogue on the Sabbath day and stood up for to read.
All right. So this is talking about Christ, all right, where he had been brought up. He went to Nazareth. That's where he came, brought up from. And it says what? As his custom was, he went to where? The synagogue on what day? The Sabbath day. And he stood up to read. Okay. So I feel like I have over-explained everything because people try to butcher some of these things. People get caught up on the word custom. It was his custom. It was the Jewish custom to go and do it. Listen, it was our custom because doing what the laws of God that we receive from God through Moses is our custom. So yes, they're just telling you he's going to be there because that's what the people of Israel did or was supposed to be doing. So that's supposed to be everybody's custom. It's our custom not to eat defiled food. All right. So all these things, don't let them get caught up on the custom thing. Yes, it was our custom. That is when they think about the Sabbath day, who they link it to? Us. All right. When you think of the other things, other people, they got that Sunday, right? That's their custom. They was right, and they'll say their custom is to go on Sunday. That's their custom. But for the people of God, our custom was the what? Sabbath day. Okay. So he went to the synagogue. Yes, he assembled himself. Okay. And what they do, they did some reading. Okay. Because you need to get some knowledge on the Sabbath day. You can get gossip and fools. You're going to run into that all the week. But the Sabbath day is for what? Reading and getting some understanding. Okay. So you know what's required of you. That's what it's for. All right. I won't even go to the next one. Anybody got anything for the Sabbath day? I told you, I'm cutting myself off, but if y'all got something, y'all bring it out. Anybody got anything they want to add for the Sabbath day? Because people are going to always try to throw certain things at the Sabbath day, and they want to belittle it or they want to add, they want to make certain arguments that we're not making. All right, you telling me he only worries about the Sabbath day? We ain't never say that. He worries about every day. That ain't the argument. Okay. Well, we're supposed to be holy every day. Yes, he been said we're supposed to be holy every day. That's not a new commandment. We ever see where he says, I just want y'all to be holy on the Sabbath? Like, no. But you're not being holy if you're not doing what he says. So that means you need to do that to be getting that classification or label of being holy because you have to do what's right. All right. This is his holy Sabbath day to be set apart. You can't be saying you're a believer, you holy, and you're not doing the thing he tells you. Okay. But yes, it's not a rule that you can't go to do a gathering another day. Listen what I'm saying. You can gather another day. How do we know this, beloved? Because see, they so caught up on this Sabbath day, but I told you, they don't even know our customs, our laws. We have feast days, beloved. They're holy gatherings. Are they all on the Sabbath day? No. So we wouldn't dare just say you can't gather another day because we literally have laws that's telling us we gather certain days. Okay? So don't let people try to be all slick with their wording and maneuver around what we're saying. No, you're supposed to be righteous every day. But there's one day that he's set apart for us to come together. All right? All right. Anybody got anything for that before we go to the next one? Good, we're good, we're good. All right. And you will see things in the scriptures talking about the Sabbath day. There was years when it talked about Sabbath. That's not talking about the holy day, but remember, Sabbath can mean the rest. Okay, so you will see certain passages not talking about Sabbath, the seventh day Sabbath. It will say Sabbath or the land has Sabbaths. Had Sabbaths. It was just talking about the land resting because that's what that word is dealing with. And when you get to the Sabbath, understand the Sabbath day, the futuristic aspect, we have, as people of God, we have a day that we're looking forward to. Okay, not that we obtain, that we're looking forward to, and Paul talks about that. Okay, all right, let's go back to Exodus 20 then. All right, Exodus 20, and we are at verse 11. I mean, verse 12. Verse 12. Exodus 20 and verse 12.
Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which Yahweh thy God giveth thee.
All right. Honor thy father and thy mother. Okay, it should be self-explanatory. Okay. However, we need to understand this. All right. This, Brother Kai, does this say only if your father and mother are living righteous?
Oh. Mm-mm.
I want you to understand that. Now I'm going to tell you what it looks like. When you're honoring them, okay, this is not saying you're doing something they tell you to do that's against the word of God. No. But they're telling you to do something that's not contrary to the word and everything. You should be what? Willing to do it. Okay. I can't say my mom saying, can you help me out with this, Michael? No, you ain't believing the same thing. I'm believing blah blah blah. And no, that's not what it's for. Okay. You're supposed to honor them. Okay. Even listen, even if your parents were dishonorable, all right. How do you honor that? Even think about the show. I always say, think about sometimes the medieval shows. If you're sometimes the father would be a traitor or something. How does the son honor that? He becomes what? More faithful to kind of what? Reclaim that name of the dishonor that his father might have bestowed upon it. That's what you should be doing. Okay. So hopefully through your actions, maybe they can be compelled to what? Serve God. Because they seeing how you walk and how you deal with things. That's why you want to show that honoring mother and father. And also, it's a teaching of what? Authority. Your first authority is your mother and father. You can tell a lot sometimes with how somebody deals with their mother and father. Okay? You see them disrespect their mother and father, all that stuff, curse them out, all that stuff. A lot of times you might deal with that. Okay? So honor the mother and father. And he says what? This is what he said, the first one with promise. That thy days may be long upon the land. Lord, your God give you. So he's attached it to a promise. Honor them, and this will be extension of days. Okay. Okay. Let's go to the next chapter, 21, Exodus 21, and read verse 15. Exodus 21 and verse 15. So we can see.
He that smiteth his father or his mother shall surely be put to death.
All right, there ain't no other interpretation of that, huh? If you hit your mother and father, you done lost your mind. Our people, parents say that you must have lost your mind. Even if you talk back a certain way, you must have lost your mind, right? But if you go and smite your mother and father, put that person to death. If you train them up the right way and all these kind of things, and it's a spirit on them. He said, now you take them out. Okay. Now, say today, beloved, we want to be patient, we want to work with people, because like I said, but how it was going, that's going to show you something. If your child was unruly, you couldn't get them checked and all this stuff, you'll bring them to the elders, and they would have to, investigate the city. But that child could die. And nowadays, you see the wildness that's happening. Kids ain't respecting their elders or anything. They disrespect them, all that stuff, and yet you see chaos, no order, no direction. Like, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? Get them back to what we were supposed to be doing. Going back to these commandments. All right. Let's go to Matthew 15. Let's go to Matthew 15. And I'm not gonna go to the other one. One was the Ephesians 6, and it's talk about, children obey your parents. That's right, and promise. So I won't go to that one. All right. But Matthew 15, and let's go to verse 3. All right. Matthew 15 and verse 3.
But he answered and said unto them, why do ye also transgress the commandment of God by your tradition?
How was what commandments of God were they transgressing by a tradition? All right. Tradition, I'm not going to say tradition alone is a problem. It's when it transgressed the commandments of God, beloved. All right. That's when it's the issue. If I got to observe this I don't say the consequence, at the point where it's going to mess up the commandments or something like that, then yes, that's when it's a problem. All right. So he's telling, this is Christ, right? Red letters. All right. Commandments of God by your traditions. Verse 4.
But God commanded, saying, honor thy father and mother, and he that curseth father or mother, let him die the death.
All right. So you see now where Christ is quoted, because some people don't understand this part. He that curses father, mother, let him die to death. They're like, oh no, that ain't in the Ten Commandments. See, because he ain't just acknowledging that what. See, they want to get caught up on the Ten Commandments because some people preserve that, but this ain't in the 10. Let him die to death. All right. But it is in the 10 when you understand it. Yes, because all is encompassing in it. Okay. So dishonor them, let them be what? He that cursed with father, let him die to death. Okay. But why is that? What happened? How they transgress in this? Read verse 5.
But ye say,
You
whosoever
say, you teaching. This was some of the Pharisees doing, right? Some scribes doing, but you're teaching what?
whosoever shall
Yep.
say to his father or his mother, it is a gift by whatsoever thou mightest be profited by me,
Mm-hmm.
and honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. Thus had ye made the commandment of God of none effect by your tradition.
When a tradition makes the commandments of God of none effect, all right, well, we don't have to do it. That tradition is satanic. That tradition is evil. It's wicked. All right, you have to remove that tradition. Okay, but what they were doing, beloved, they were saying it's a gift. It's a blessing. Them dishonor their mother and father for whatever reason. Okay, and he's saying that ain't what my father commanded. That's what y'all teaching of, but that ain't what my father commanded. All right, same thing now. I ain't telling y'all disrespect your mother and father. Because some people are like, well, they're heathens and wicked, so I can disrespect them. You hear people teaching that, like that ain't what it says. Yeah, don't conform to that. Don't do the stuff they doing wicked. But they over there telling you, wanting you to take the trash out, and you over there, nah, you wicked, and I ain't supposed to be dealing with it, and you grabbing all these scriptures out of context to justify that. Nah, grab that trash and take it out. Okay, we teach respect and order. All right. But of course, if they're leading you to do something contrary to the word of God, then yes. All right. You refrain. You still listen. You still can honor them and not follow through with it. Listen, Dad, I do this. I can't do that. All right. I try to do, but maybe I can do it this day, right? Because they might have, like I said, they not let's do the Sabbath. They're not doing the Sabbath. They don't understand the importance of it. They might try to have you do something. Let's that mom, I can't do it today. Can we do it maybe Sunday or another time? That's not dishonor them. You honoring it and you still what? Not disrespecting them. Okay. So you want to use wisdom when it comes to certain things, but you don't want to give the okay of dishonoring your mother and father. Okay. All right. But this is supposed to be under the acknowledgement that remember, we all supposed to be doing this thing. So definitely, if your mother and father supposed to be what in this, in the faith and doing the laws and everything. So you going against them, it will be a reflection that you're going against God. That's the real offense. All right. So you disrespecting your mother and father. You think you're disrespecting them, but you really disrespecting the Most High God when they're doing and instructing you the things that's right. Okay. Anybody got anything for honor mother and father? Anybody got anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, I wanted to share something regarding that.
Yep.
So it could also be a gift as if you're taking care of your parents. So sometimes Parents start to undergo certain things and they move in with you. And now we feel as though because they're in my house, that I'm now became the parent and they're the child. So that could be a gift of saying I take care of them. So I'm going to talk to them as if they're not my parents anymore because they live with me. But that's what he's saying, that when you understand the law, that don't change because now you take care of them. They're still your parents. So just want to add that. That was it.
No, that's a great point. That is a great point. Because they have like little memes and stuff about that. I guess when moms and parents give you certain lines, right? Do you got I want McDonald's. Do you got McDonald's money, right? You now you become, financially more stable than them and you throwing shots at them. So yes, it does not change because of the conditions. And that can reflect into a lot of different things. But I won't dive into it today. But that's a great point, brother. Great point. All right. So they receive that honor. Okay. They receive that honor. All right. Anybody else had anything they want to add to that? Among our Father? Okay. And then with that, remember there's laws and stuff that keeping us, remember as mother and fathers, we supposed to not be what? Provoking our children and things of that nature as well. All right. So stuff on both ends. Okay. But yeah, at the end of the day, you got to honor them. Okay. No matter what. All right, let's keep going. Let's keep going. We are at 13.
I got a couple scriptures, bro. I can read out of Sirach, just three, just a couple scriptures.
Yeah, go ahead.
Honor your father and mother.
Yep. Let me get Sirach real quick. Sirach, or also known as Ecclesiasticus.
Okay, it reads, "Hear me, your father, O children, and do thereafter, that ye may be safe." Okay. For the Lord hath given the father honor over the children, and have confirmed the authority of the mother over the son. So this is basically saying that your father and mother are over you, they're above you, right? It says, "Whoso honoreth his father and maketh atonement for his sins." So basically, when you honor your father, you're keeping the commandments. So that's how you make an atonement for your sins, right? It says, "And he that honoreth his mother is as one that layeth up treasure." So when you obeying your mom and dad and honoring them is respecting them, right? You actually laying up treasure in heaven, right? It says, verse 5, "Whoso honoreth his father shall have joy of his own children, and when he maketh his prayer, he shall be heard." So when you are honoring your father and mother, when you have kids, right? It says shall have joy of his own children. So most likely you're gonna bring your kids up the same way, and they're not gonna have an evil spirit on you. I mean on them to not honor you. And when he maketh his prayer should be heard, because we know the prayer of a righteous man availeth much, right? So honoring your father and your mother, the Most High will hear you at the end of the day, right? And it's just something that you're supposed to be doing, Um, like Brother Mike was saying, like even if your father or mother, haven't been in your life or they've been a bad person, vengeance of the Most High, you know, you came from them. So, in other words, you should not be disrespecting your father and mother. I don't care what they did. You know what I'm saying? You still do your part. At the end of the day, if they have done wrong, we have a God that's in heaven that will handle that. And not that you should be praying for any of that, but that's just what he does. And you can just it's this chapter, and I think it's all the way to chapter 6, I believe, or it might be to chapter 5, but this just talks about how to honor your father and mother. It's just so many other scriptures in this book as I read. And with that, I land.
Point. Yeah, this is a good chapter. This is the one I had another lesson. All praise and bring it back out, but it goes into the details, right? Even about if your father's doing things wrong, not to glory in it, right? Because some people are like, oh, like your father's downfall is your glory. Like some people get excited. Oh, my father's down everything, and now that brings glory. Like, no, that don't bring you glory. But we do this with our father because it starts. This is what I'm saying. Our first relationship with our mother and father, it starts there. But what you going to do with other things? Oh, now when you get a relationship, oh, when my wife goes down or she's getting caught up in certain things, going through struggles, does that bring you glory? No. Same thing with your children. Same thing with your other brothers and sisters. So it's a spirit that comes behind it. This is why he's so hard on these things, right? That's why I say it trickles down to other things, because the spirit that he's dealing with. All right. All these commandments is getting spirits. Okay. So it's very, very important to understand these things. All right. And it says out of mother word and deed as well. Okay. So be mindful of that. Now, beloved, if somebody's doing wicked and listen, Most High give you space to have boundaries. All right. If fathers be wicked, they try to make you do wicked things. No, you can set your boundaries. All right. But we want to do these things and not still get caught up in anything. All right. Because at the end of the day, they're a soul, and hopefully through your actions, you can compel them. Right? Dang, I've been doing, hopefully they get like, dang, I've been doing this and this to my son or my daughter, blah, blah, blah. And they never disrespect, they never did this. And they can ponder on that. Okay. Same thing with other relationships. All right.
Brother Mike, could you go back there? I saw a verse that I wanted to go over.
Okay.
I think it might have been 12, something like that. Let me see. Okay, right here, verse 12. I just want to touch on this. It says, my son, help thy father in his age, and grieve him not as long as he liveth. And if his understanding fail, have patience with him, and despise him not when thou art in thy full strength. So as they get older, sometimes they their minds start to slip away. You got dementia. You know what I'm saying? They might not be as quick-witted as they used to be, right? So, and I deal with that. Sometimes I gotta, explain something to my dad like, 50 times. But see, I understand he's getting older at the end of the day. And when he keep asking me the same thing, I just tell him the same thing. And doing these things, beloved, it teach you patience at the end of the day, right? Because hey, keep yourself humble, because you might be in that same mistake when you have kids. Remember how you treat your parents. The Most High is a vengeance at the end of the day of evil. And if you know your parents any kind of way, you have kids, just remember, if you live long enough, you're gonna get old one day. So just make sure they might keep that same energy towards you as you kept towards your parents. So we just want to be patient with our parents at the end of the day, man, because we might get to that point. And I yield with that.
Yeah. Yeah, because I don't think we was perfect growing up. You kids, remember when you couldn't take care of yourself? Guess who's being patient with you, feeding you and dealing with all those things? They were. So don't be forgetful. All right. I know it can be it can be annoying and frustrating. I get it, but you want to remember that, and you don't want no curses to come upon you because you're going against this. So be prayerful and mindful, beloved. All right. Anybody else have anything to add before we go to the next one? All right. Let's go to 13, verse 13.
Thou should not kill.
All right. Straightforward. All right. We should not kill, or in some translation, it will be like almost like thou should not murder. Some people like that one because it's basically the unlawful taking. Because we did kill. This is where we talk about context and put things together. We had instructions to kill at certain times, right? With the war, you had to kill somebody, or they send, with certain sins, you had to remember stone them and stuff like that. So there was killing, but it's the unlawful taking of life. Those were lawful takings of life, right? The Most High saying you can do this, all right? But you can't take it upon yourself and just take a life, right? So that would be dealing with thou shalt not kill. And let me get for this one, I'm just going to go to Matthew 5, all right? Because all these things, you can stay on the surface with it, right? That's the first way you teach it, taking a life and all those kind of things. But there's other ways to kill, all right? One is with the what? Tongue, okay? With the tongue, you can kill someone. All right, so let's go to Matthew 5 and verse 21. That's why I said we really dive into it. We're not going to all of it today, but like when you dive into it, these things, these commandments are deep. They're not just surface things. They cover a plethora of commandments. All right, but we're going to get to that. Maybe we get to it today, depending on how time permits. All right, so this is Matthew 5 and verse 21. Let me see if I want to go. Hold on real quick. Yeah, we can start from there.
Ye heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. And whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment.
All right, so this is Christ talking, right? You heard in old times, you know the commandment, thou shalt not kill. And if you kill, you're going to be in danger of what? The judgment. Okay. Verse 22. Let's see if Christ is destroying it, because everybody got Christ destroying all the laws and the commandments. Let's see if he's destroying it or doing something else. Verse 22.
I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. Whosoever shall say that fool shall be in danger of hellfire.
So people love to go to Christ because they feel like Christ is the get out of sin free card. They can do what they want. Christ done gave some realization to this thou shalt not kill. And if you really understand it, it seemed like he made it worse or tightened it up. Because when we look at thou shalt not kill, it was more like, oh, people just thinking, oh, okay, you don't stab somebody, you don't shoot right, you don't kill them. Christ is saying, oh, no. The fullness, the full intent of thou shalt not kill is dealing with this. You ain't even supposed to be angry with your brother. This says without a cause, we have a lesson when we deal with that, when we deal with the anger lesson, all right? Okay, but when we look at it, you're not supposed to be angry. The anger towards your brother or sister can be what? In that same judgment. It can, but what? Put you right into that danger of hellfire. All right? Because Christ is dealing with, we so focused on the manifestation of stuff. This is our problem. We so focused on the manifestation. The spirit gets to the root. Okay? We caught up on the, oh my gosh, the forest fire, everything's on fire. The spirit is saying, listen, you need to look at, the sparks. You need to take care of that, the root of the issues. So when you're looking at it, a lot of times, we're not talking about accidental death. That's not the unlawful. That's an accident, right? But when you talk about somebody taking another person's life, right? What kind of spirit you think you got to have to do that? Whether you plan it, whether you're doing a sneaker, you're going to have to be in another spirit. That spirit, a lot of times, is interpreted as anger or other things. You are in the wrong spirit. That's where the sin arrives. You're breaking the commandment of thou shalt not kill right there. The taking of the life is the manifestation. All right? Like Brother Kyle was a couple weeks ago, right? We getting caught up on the wrong thing. That's the manifestation of it. That's when you what? Been overtaken by it. You're going to experience anger. You're going to experience certain things, but to overtake you is something different. We experience sadness. We experience loss. But when that spirit overtakes you, you get into what? That depression. Right? You experience frustration. But if you don't check it at frustration, it's going to turn to anger, and that anger can lead to what? This. So Christ is trying to let us know, right? When you children, we try to, okay, don't kill. We're going to go there. That's the surface. Don't take somebody's life. But when we dealing with the spirit and we start digging out the layers, well, we can't just be having causes where we want to harm our brothers. We thinking bad about our brothers and sisters, because that manifestation of that spirit, beloved, is going to lead to what? Full-fledged being overtaken with sin. So Christ didn't make it easier. If anything, he tightened it up and made it harder. I just thought I had to just worry about not killing somebody. But now when I'm cursing somebody out and saying certain things, I can be doing that. That's what Christ is bringing out. He's tightening it up. He ain't making it easier. All right, so we need to understand these things. Okay? Anybody got anything for that? So I'm not going all over the place with it. I'm only one for that one. Anybody got anything they want to add to kill? Thou shalt not kill. All right. We'll go back to Exodus 20. Let's read the next verse. Nobody got anything? Read the next verse.
Thou shalt not commit adultery.
All right. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Let's go back to Matthew 5. Let's go back to Matthew 5. Once again, let's go to the master teacher himself. All right, let's go to verse 27. All right.
Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not commit adultery.
All right, so we're here once again of old time, right? The commandments already said we should not commit adultery. But listen, what is Christ saying? Is he saying you don't got to worry about that? I'm coming to die. You can commit adultery now? Read.
But I say unto you that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her have committed adultery with her already in his heart.
Mm-hmm. Now, does that seem like he's destroying it? Does that seem like he's loosening it up and throwing all this mercy? Well, I'm gonna have mercy. He ain't throwing none of that there. He's saying you think just sleeping with her, you thought that was the adultery. Oh no, the spirit of adultery was way before that, right? Everybody get caught up on David part where he sit with Bathsheba. They like, man, he seen her and he took her, and that's when he committed adultery when he slept with her. No, he was committing adultery when he seen her, right? If he seen her bathe or whatever, right? When he seen her and said, Now that wouldn't be no problem if he didn't know she was married. That wouldn't be right. You just desiring her. All right. You can desire the opposite sex, but that's natural. Now, when he find out that's his brother's wife, all right, or not his biological brother, beloved, but he found out that's somebody's wife. Right then and there, he has a choice. Oh, she's off limits, go. And that'd be it. Or he could look and say, I still want her. Once he still want her after that, now he's in what? He's in that spirit of adultery. Because what is that thing going to do? If you don't check the spirit, what's it going to do? He started looking at it. He started saying, oh, man, I got to have her. Because that's what sin does. It go to a point where it's, okay, I like it. Okay, a little more. I got to have this plan of how you can get it. And he put together what? A plan. Right? And he thought, well, I'm going to try to kill it. And that plan didn't work out. And the husband didn't get killed. But he's trying to see how he's doing all these things. That spirit came upon him. I'm about to kill this loyal soldier to me out there fighting on my behalf. I'm ready to kill him so I can have his wife. And usually when you're breaking, that's why I talk about break one, you break them all, because usually you're going to connect other things with it. All right. So he went, and that's where the issue was. As soon as he found out she was married, he should have been off limits. Once you didn't do that, now it's what? That adultery, that spirit of adultery is on there. All right. So this is what Christ is dealing with. All right. So you lust after once you found out, that's it. Okay. Adultery, killing, murdering, all these things start. I shouldn't point it here. It starts here. All right. It starts here. And if you don't check it, it's going to end with the manifestation of it. Okay. Nobody slipped into adultery. Now you thought about it. You start planning all that stuff. That's how it happened. Killing, you do say it's a planned action. All right. So Christ is saying it starts in here. You got to get this mind right, because this is where all the sins start to what? Build up. Okay. Anybody got anything to add to that? All right. And we know the obvious, like I said, we know the obvious of you just doing it. Okay. I just wanted to go to the New Testament and go outside the box a little bit with it. All right. So we got thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery. Let's go to verse 15.
Thou shalt not steal.
All right. Thou shalt not steal. Okay. And you can do this with a lot of things, beloved. Being dishonest can be a form of stealing, just not doing things right. Let's go to Leviticus 19. I'll go this one. Hopefully everybody understand the the surface aspect of it, right? Don't take what's not yours. And that can go any capacity. A lot of times we think money. Some people think, your wife, your neighbor, all that stuff, that could be forms of stealing. All right. Taking what's not yours. If the Most High gave you this and you seeing your brother or sister have this, you're like, well, I got to get this. That can be a form of stealing as well. Right. Also coveting, which we'll get to. What I give you? Did I give you the verse? Leviticus 19, and we're going to go to verse 35. Leviticus 19 and verse 35. We're going to read 35 and 36.
You shall do no unrighteousness in judgment, in meat yard, in weight, or in measure. Just balances, just weights, a just ephah, and a just hin shall ye have. I am Yahweh your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt.
We supposed to be fair, beloved. Okay, so if you're doing any kind of unfairness, that will be stealing. So if you're in the seat of judgment, judging matters, okay, and this is my friend, this is my boy and everything, and then he doing something wrong to this person, but since he's my boy, I'm going to favor him. That's stealing. That's unjust. That's not proper measurement and judgment. Okay? So I'm just giving you all a little glimpse of it ain't just taking something from somebody. That's that's elementary aspect of the commandments, but it gets deeper. Okay. Anybody got anything they want to add to steal? I told you somebody's just going to have like one verse. Anybody got anything to add to thou shalt not steal? All right, let's go back to Exodus 20 and get verse 16. Exodus 20 and verse 16.
Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor.
All right, so you shouldn't bear false witness against your neighbor. You should be lying on your neighbor. Right, simple enough. Let's go to Exodus 23 and get a verse for that. All right, so no bearing false witness. We should be known as a liar. Okay, if your friends or family, whatever, only believe you when you say, "Oh, I swear," which we should be doing, "I swear to God," all that kind of stuff, you are a liar. And they only believe you got to do all that swearing because you don't just tell the truth. So, beloved, just tell the truth. All right, you have to swear and all that stuff. Just tell the truth. Okay. Exodus 23 and verse 1. I'm sorry. Exodus 23 and verse 1.
Thou shalt not raise a false report. Put not thy hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness.
So you can't be having a false report. Don't put your hand with the wicked to have an unrighteous witness. Now, listen, when I'm talking about unrighteous witness, if you don't know what happened, you didn't see it testify, you shouldn't be witnessing it. This is a big problem in Israel. Because we get caught up looking at the stuff on TV. We got half information. You got half information. You don't know. You know these news things. You know all these places be lying, but you want to go to that for your source of truth. And you going there speaking about something you don't know. Guess what? False report. False report. No, but I'm thinking, no, that's not how it works. You're supposed to speak what you know and testify what you've seen. All right? Don't be an unrighteous witness. If you don't know, I don't know. I wasn't there. It's okay, beloved, to say, I don't know. I wasn't there. But when you signing off on something and give your judgment on things with half truth, that shows what kind of judge you are. You don't care about righteous judgment. Okay? So don't get caught up with that, beloved. All right? Let's read. So Exodus 23, let's get verse 2.
Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to the con after many to wrest judgment.
Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil. That's because you see a whole group of people doing something, don't make it right. Don't mean you need to be a part of it. Because all your coworkers gossiping and going on something, that don't make it right, and you don't need to join yourself with it. No. All right. So don't follow multitude of evil. Neither shall thou speak in a cause to decline after many to rest judgment. All right. So, beloved, when we're doing things, we have to make sure we're honest and fair. Okay. Honest and fair. Our words mean something. Our words have power behind it. So don't sign off on nothing you ain't putting your soul on. Okay. All right. Let's go back to Exodus 20. Let's go back to Exodus 20. You know, beloved, we're quick to put our mouths on things that, we're not sure about, but we real slow and usually sometimes never go back to what corrected when we're wrong. And that's the issue. You're yelling a half truth out. And then if you're wrong, then you want to be quiet. Oh, okay, well, that's pretty, see, that's not right. So it's better just to keep your mouth shut when you don't know it, so you don't have to eat up those words. Okay. Exodus 20, and let's go to the next one. I'm sorry, anybody have anything for bear false witness they wanted to add? All right, let's go to the next one. Verse 17, the last commandment. All right.
Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
All right. So you should not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, manservant. You should not be having that unlawful desire towards those things. All right. So I think it was Brother Floyd I stole it from, but he used those, either him or one of the other brothers, right? It's okay to inspire, be motivated by somebody else, but don't be envious of your brother and sister. All right. Two different spirits behind it. Right. I see my brother Kai got a nice car. I'm like, man, I want to get a car like that. There's nothing wrong with desiring something like that. All right.
Oh.
When I'm envious of it, I'm probably going to do something more, right? Either I'm going to downplay, he think he all cool because he ain't say none of that. That's you, right? Try to downplay it, or you might do some unrighteous stuff, right? You might maybe I might scratch the car on purpose, or I'm trying to do something unlawful to get it. Okay. So it's not to be inspired or motivated by someone is good. Well, if it's righteous, and put that way, right? So it's good. It's good when you see somebody and be inspired and motivated, right? There are singers out there. I love hearing, people that can sing very well, right? I can't say, I'm like, man, I wish I could sing like that, right? But it's okay to be motivated, inspired. That gift is appealing, it's attractive, okay? So you're going to see those things. It's okay. But now, beloved, when you're coveting it, it's a different, thing. All right. You mean envious of it. This kind of spirit is not good within us. Okay. So we want to make sure we be able to kind of decipher and separate the two. All right. And actually, one of the kids asked that question. It was a real good question. Well, am I allowed to like something that somebody else? No, you can like certain things. All right. As long as it's in the parameters of the law. Okay. Did I have anything for this? Let me see. Go ahead, change. Let me see what's right. No, I don't want that one. Let's just go to Philippians 4. No, I'm not going to give you all the James ones. Let's go to Philippians chapter 4 and verse verse 11. All right. Philippians 4 and verse 11.
Not that I speak in respect of want, for I have learned, in whatsoever state I am, therewith to be content.
So, beloved, you might desire something. You might look at your brother. They might have certain things and say, man, that's nice. I wish I did. Right. But at the end of the day, you want to be content where you at. All right. You want to be content with what God gave you. Some people, one of the biggest things, beloved, is a lot of people leaving off what God gave them to chase something God didn't have for them. Okay. And we see these kind of things. God put you in this capacity. He wants you to do this. He wants you to flourish with this. He gave you the tools to flourish with this. But a lot of times we want to grab something that he didn't give us, and then we make a mess. And this happens all the time because you coveted that gift. And what does something give to you? All right. What God gave you, you don't got to destroy. You don't got to push people down. You don't got to do none of that stuff. If he gave it, you're going to flourish in that. If you got to push somebody down so you can elevate, that's not the Holy Spirit doing that. That's you. Okay? This is what I talk about even with churches. We came from different churches, but you don't need to push nobody down so you can elevate. You just shine like the Most High has given you the ability to shine in your calling, your gift. All right? Be content with what you have. A lot of times people have arguments and get all kind of caught up because we coveting what somebody had. Must be nice, right? All that kind of stuff. What you doing? You start putting that spirit of not being content right in the mix. This covenant can destroy families, right? It can destroy friendships, right? It can destroy at the job, all right? It can deal with that greedy, never being satisfied. Always got to get more. Always got to get more. No matter how much you destroy. That spirit of covenant is very, very dangerous. Okay, so we want to make sure we check that. So we should be content in all things. All right, learn to be content. Whether you have a lot, be content. Whether you have be content. Okay, that doesn't mean you can't want more, beloved. Okay, some people like, no, you can't want to, to get a raise. You shouldn't want to get a raise because that's not a center in trouble. Okay, so you want to be mindful. It's the love of money that's the issue. Okay, because when you love it, you're going to do whatever for it or to gain it. All right, that's where you have to be mindful of it. Okay, but it's nothing wrong with desiring more. Okay, verse 12.
I know both how to be abased, and
Mhm.
I know how to abound. Everywhere in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to abound and to suffer need.
All right, so he said, I'm learned to in both capacities. All right, I learned I can be content and do this thing. Now read verse 13 because a lot of people just go to verse 13 and read this here.
I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me.
I can do this. Christ that strengthens me, I can do it. Whether I'm in want or I have abundance, I know I can be sober-minded in this thing. All right. All right. Anybody have anything for thou shalt not covet? Thou shalt not covet. All right. What time we got? 2:38. All right, let's go to this. Let's go to Matthew 22. All right. So that's the 10 Commandments. Okay. Because I told you this was kind of inspired from because we read some of these things in the beginning, right? We read the 10 Commandments. We also read this passage right here. But we're going to go a little further up so y'all can see what led up to this one. So we're going to read Exodus 22 and we're going to start at verse 35. Exodus 22 and verse 35.
Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? Yahweh
Well, what's the great commandment? So the question is, what's the great commandment? All right. What's the most important commandment of the law? You know how we listen. I don't have time to go through all this. Give me what's the most important thing, right? Give me what's the most important thing. All right. Read.
Yahweh said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy mind.
So he's saying, you want to know what the most important commandment is? Is what? Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, with all thy mind. All right. That is not where, beloved. That's particularly not written or spelled out in the 10 Commandments. That's in another location. Okay. However, this is the 10 Commandments when you understand it. Okay. Because all these commandments is doing is what? All these laws and commandments is telling you how to what? Love the Lord thy God with all your heart, soul, and mind. Because we wouldn't know how to serve God, would we? So he gives us these laws and commandments to show you, if you want to show that you love me, this is what you got to do. That's the great commandment. Do loving the Lord thy God with all your heart, soul, and mind. So we'll be able to measure it, right? How do I know I'm loving God with all our heart, soul, and mind? Okay, let me look through the laws and commandments and everything and see if I'm checking these things off. Okay, but read verse 38. He's not done.
This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself.
He said this is the first and great, the first and most important commandment, the greatest commandment. But he said the second is like unto it. So now you add another part to it, right? He said the second is what? Love thy neighbor as thyself. So love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, soul, and mind is the first and great commandment. But he said there's a second great commandment, right? Just as great, just as important as what? Loving thy neighbor as thyself. That's also, all right, written in a passage, not in the 10. Okay. I think that's Leviticus, is that 18 or 19? 19, 18. All right. You can find that. Love your neighbor as thyself. Now, some people look at it and say that's it. We just got to do these two. Because remember, what was the spirit that the lawyer was coming in? Asking, tempting him. He was tempting him because they wanted him to say a certain commandment. Because guess what? They're trying to catch him up. Their whole thing is trying to catch him up in something. Right? So a typical person, right, might have said the Sabbath. They would have caught him up with the Sabbath. A person might have said, we got Sabbath, maybe stealing, maybe the feast days, right? They would have probably gave all kind of different answers. But our master teacher was so brilliant because he knew the spirit behind it and gave an answer that what called them up if they can receive it. And a lot of us don't understand what he's saying. So he's saying, love the Lord our God with all thy heart, soul, and mind, and also love thy neighbor as thyself. These are the most important commandments. There's a lot of commandments and laws. Those are the most important. Read verse 40.
On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets.
Anybody see what he just did there? Anybody see what he just did there? He just gave them the okie doke that what? All of them important. Because they want to specify, well, which things I got to do, right? Because we have these some kind of thoughts in our mind. How much can I do to be qualified as to be saved, all right? But not to actually be obedient to everything. We want to know just what's the bare minimum I need to do to get. This is what he's trying to do. Just give me the important stuff, right? I don't understand. Just give me the important stuff. He's saying, yeah, love thy neighbor and love the Lord thy God with all your heart, strength, right? Put God first and love your neighbor. That's what he says the most important commandments. And he says what? On these two commandments hang all the laws and all the prophets. So what he said was, if you understand these two, you'll get what? Everything else is consisting in these two commandments. All right. Now let's think about this. Think of a commandment or law that don't fall into one of these categories. That's what you got to look at. All the laws and commandments fall in these two categories. Okay? When you think of the 10 commandments, the first 4 is dealing usually with what? Let's go through the test. Thou shalt know God before me. Dealing with what? Loving the Lord, right? Bow yourself down, worshiping other gods or pagan stuff. That's dealing with what? Loving the Lord thy God. Should take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. Deal with the Lord. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God, right? He's just breaking down a little bit of what that's dealing and consists of. Then even this one. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. That's dealing with what? Love the Lord thy God with all thy heart. Okay? And then honor thy father and thy mother. That now we see the transition happen with us, even though he's our father. Some people you can use a hybrid for both, right? But you start to go and love your mother and father. We know we got to do that naturally. Thou shalt not kill, commit adultery, steal, bear false witness. What is that dealing with? On the surface aspect, it's dealing with what? How do we deal with our neighbors? Right? Because, beloved, we're going to make excuses how we're going to love somebody. We're going to tell you how we're going to love you. But God's saying, no, you're going to do this. So the first and great commandment is how to deal with God, what he wants from us, expectations from us. And then the second is dealing with what? How we should love one another. Okay? So he just put what? You need the whole thing. You need all the laws and the prophets. Because they were trying to what? Tempt them and trying to get him off of, get him something specific to catch him up. But he's saying, guess what? You do these two, but these two consist of everything in the laws and the prophets. There's nothing you get in the law and prophets that's not dealing with it. So when people are trying to throw things away, I tell them, you don't even understand what your teacher's telling you. Right? So when we go in there and say, well, why you do this? Hangs in the law and the prophets, don't it? Well, we got this. No, he ain't talking about nothing future. He's saying this is how you do it. Which is the great commandment in the law. So when we have these things and we bring them out, we are being obedient to our master teacher. Now you got to ask yourself where you get your stuff from. Right? He ain't saying go future, go to Paul. He's saying go back. That's the great thing. So all these things is teaching us how to love God and how to love one another, beloved. That's the big mystery, right? That's what the 10 Commandments is dealing with and trying to get us to, right? Loving him and loving our brothers and sisters, all right? Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? That's the most important thing, okay? Let's go to Psalms. I'm gonna get to this other part, but I don't think I want to touch it today. Maybe next week I can touch on it. All right. Let's go to Psalms 119. Psalms 119. And I got a verse, but matter of fact, give me verse 1. We're going to skip. We're not doing this chapter. No. Psalm 119 and verse 1.
Blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the law of Yahweh.
All right. Blessed are the undefiled in the way who walk in the law of Yahweh. So, beloved, to be undefiled, to be blessed, you have to walk in the laws. Too easy, right? It's too easy. Not receive a blessing, to be blessed. All right. Anybody can receive a blessing, but to be blessed is that lifestyle. All right. That thing got to be, that's where it got to be in you. So if you want that, you need to walk in the laws. All right. Let's jump down. You know the one I want. Verse 9. This is a good chapter. We'll do one class. We'll just walk through one night this chapter, but not today. All right, 119 and verse 9. Listen to this.
Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way, by taking heed thereto according to thy word.
How can a young man, how can a young woman, how can they cleanse their way? How can they be made clean? All right. Is it by jumping around and flipping over things? No. You want to be made clean? What do you got to do? You can have Pastor put all the oil in the world on you. You can drown in that anointed oil. That's not going to make you clean. He can put you in that water and drown you in that baptism water. It will not make you clean. You was a dry devil, and then you're going to get up and be a wet devil. That will not make you clean. But what will make you clean is what? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. Thy word will make you clean. We are doing things in obedience to what? His word. And it didn't change when I won't go to it today, but Christ talks about this. Was that John 3? No, that's maybe John 15, right? He's saying his word, and you abide in the branches, right? So I want to make sure because I'm butchering a little bit. Make sure I get the right chapter in case somebody want to look. Yes, that's John 15, right? The vine and the husband. Now you are clean through the words which I have spoken unto you. So you see Christ still what? Going to these points because he is the volume of the book. So why would it change? That's him. The Lord of prophets is him. So he's telling you, a young man get clean through thy word. He's coming the same thing. What he does, I'm not giving you the message. He said, I'm only speaking what the Father gives you because the words is what cleanses you. So if you want to be clean, you need to get the word, his word. Not your pastor and apostle, all these kind of titles they want to give, not their word, not their opinions. All right, not their understanding. You need to get the Father's words. You need to get the truth. The truth is what's going to cleanse you. John 17:17 says, sanctify them through thy truth. Everybody stops there. It says, thy word is truth. That's how you're going to be sanctified. So can the commandment sanctify you? Absolutely. Because that's his word. All right. Everybody want to do it. You just like the lawyers and stuff trying to find a way to get outside of doing that. You got to do his word. If you don't want to do it, you just won't be clean. You could be under some delusion, but you're not going to be clean. All right. All right. Let's just go to this point. I'll open it up if anybody else got anything to add. Let's jump down to verse 90. Verse 96.
I have seen an end of all perfection, but thy commandment is exceeding broad.
That's a little weird. I've seen an end of all perfection, right? But thy commandments is exceedingly broad. No, it's just 10. That ain't exceeding broad. No. It's more than 10. All right. It's more than 10 and less than 10, if you can understand it. Because it's really 2. Loving God and love your neighbor. That's what all this thing's about. But when you understand it, you can break it down, and because it hangs all the other things that's in these laws and commandments, beloved. It can be exceedingly broad. And this is why we need the Spirit. Because there are certain things where what that Spirit's going to exceed certain things that might not even be written out per se. Because this thing's about getting that Spirit in you so you know how to walk this thing correctly. All right? Because certain things you be like, dang, it don't give a direct law, but that Spirit going to be able to guide and direct you. Okay? So it's exceedingly broad. Read verse 97.
Oh, how I love thy law. It is my meditation all the day.
So you got to what? Love this thing. You need to meditate in it. Some people think they serving God, but why? They don't understand certain things because they're not meditating in it. They only what? Meditating on what their pastor told them. Only the lesson that they get, but they're not meditating in all the word of God. Give me the next verse. Listen to this one.
Thou through thy commandments have made me wiser than my enemies, for they are ever with me.
Through the commandments, you made me wiser than my enemies. You want wisdom? You need to seek the laws and commandments of God. You want understanding? That's where you're going to find it. Stop trying to be lazy and go to Paul without the understanding that Paul had. His foundation, he testified, his foundation came from where, beloved? The law and the prophets. But you want to skip that and you just seeing the highlights. Right? It's just like the young boys, they want to learn basketball and they want to learn, oh, how to do this advanced move. You learn that advanced move when you perfected these fundamental moves. But we do the same thing. We want mastery before going through the works to get mastery. You don't jump and elevate to, your senior year in high school. You got to go through elementary and build you up. That's why the law is a schoolmaster. It's going to build you up and build you up to get you to Christ. But you don't want to be built up properly. You want to skip and do all these things. And then you wonder why there's so much mistakes. There's so many holes in what you believe because you didn't get built up correctly. Beloved, you got to build the house correctly. You got people claiming they're carpenters and they want to start from the roof down. The foundation ain't that important. Let's just throw these things together and be all right. When has the foundation not been one of the most important things? It says Christ is what? The cornerstone. This is what you build everything off of. Christ said, I came in the volume of the what? The book. What book was there when he said it? Wasn't the New Testament? He was talking about what? What book did we have, beloved? This. And this is why we're making a mess. We got the Old Testament people beefing with the New Testament people because we don't understand it. If you're on your doctrine, you have to start with Paul with your doctrine. You don't understand them for the most part. I'm telling you, 90% of the time, you don't understand what you're saying. Paul was taught by what? He was taught by Gamaliel. Gamaliel was what? A doctor in the what? Law. If his teacher that he got a bulk of his learning from is a master per se in the law, what do you think his student is building his premises off? The law. Now, to those that speak his language, he don't have to always quote it. Sometimes he'll quote it. Sometimes he's just talking and you just have to be what? Somebody that's already learned and you can follow along with him. But those that have not studied and meditated the laws and commandments, it's going to be some big problems. You're going to think everything's contradicting. He's going against and tearing down everything that our forefathers and the prophets talked about, but he's not. And I know it can hurt. I know we looked up to serve people, but it can hurt. But we have to make sure we do this thing right, beloved. Give me verse 99. Listen to this one.
I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation.
So you can excel what? Your teachers. I have more understanding than them. Why? Because I meditated, right, in your testimonies. I meditated in this book. Some people have not meditated in it. They just passing down the same doctrine. Now listen, the doctrine's right. There's no problem with that per se. But you're going to have to build that learning of yourself as well. Your pastor and everything should be a teacher and a guide. But some people are going to excel because some of them are not studying. Some of them not meditating. They're just passing down. Ask them certain questions. Sometimes they don't even know why they're doing it. Well, I got this from my so-and-so. And he got it from his so-and-so. He got it from his so-and-so. And some of y'all, if y'all follow that doctrine tree, you gonna get it, it's gonna go right probably to Satan. Oh yeah, yeah, that's my teaching right there. Yep. Look at the root of your teaching. All right. So this, like I said, this is not for destroying nobody. This is so what? We can be edified, beloved. All right. This is checking me as well. Let me just freestyle anything. I want to go to scripture. So we say, listen, this is where I'm getting it from. All right. So if there's a misunderstanding, I want to be what? If I make a mistake, listen, I was sincere. If I made a mistake, I point to the right thing. My interpretation would just be off. But the source that I'm getting is right. Okay. Let's go to the next one. I'm done. Y'all can anybody got anything to bring out, they can bring it out after this. Verse
I have more understanding than all my teachers, for thy testimonies are my meditation. I understand more than the ancients because I keep thy precepts.
So it's a studying thing, that's part of it. But now I got more understanding than the ancients, than some of the older ones. That because what? Because I kept thy precepts. And this goes that Psalms 110. You have a what understanding when you keep the commandments. One thing is learning, but you're not going to excel somebody that's keeping it. So when people say certain things, they can't get it. Well, I just don't get it. You haven't kept nothing. You talked about it, but did you keep the commandments? The opening up of wisdom is through the keeping, the action. But until you start to keep certain things, you're not going to get the understanding. So I understand. I understand. All right. But this is why we will excel past some of our 4, 5, and 4 teachers. Because we're not just going to hear it, we're going to study behind it, and we're ultimately going to what? Do it. Not make excuses. We're going to what? Do this thing. All right. What we got? I'm going to say the next part, private teaching, probably next week. Yeah, I ain't going to dive into it this late. Anybody got anything they wanted to add about anything with the commandments? All right, then, beloved, we shall end it there then. Okay. Hopefully we got something from it. Hopefully we can understand that these commandments are very important. Okay. But also that it's more than the surface. All right. These things have deeper spiritual meanings. Right. Because people, another lie that they get in, and they try to blame Paul, but Paul ain't saying it at all. But people trying to put it as, well, now we're spiritual, and almost like the 10 Commandments is old fashioned. It's kind of burnt. No, it's not what Brother Paul was talking about. Because Christ, our master teacher, told us this is the great commandment. Okay? So, beloved, let's make sure we're learning and not just regurgitating things we heard. Let's challenge the things we heard. Because, beloved, if it's true, it's going to last. But sometimes if we challenge our thinking, some of our teachings, sometimes we're going to realize they don't have no foundation. And our teaching got to be built upon that rock that was found in Christ, not built upon a doctrine of man. Okay, and that goes for all teachers. All right, that goes for us here. Okay, so beloved, we'll end it there. Those that are watching through YouTube live stream, we say happy Sabbath. We also say Ayana Haba Thumb, which means we love